The modern data stack is a complex web of tools and technologies. Kaboola's aim is to eliminate that web. In a way, building up a data stack is like playing Tetris. Each piece has to be added at the right time in order to fit. Those pieces need to be both modular and compatible, and ideally managed from one place. That's where Kaboola comes in. Now let's hop on to the platform. These are flows. From here, we can build and manage our entire pipeline, one step at a time. Let's start off with something completely fresh. There are a large selection of data sources, from third-party services, cloud providers, and databases in order to gather your organization's data. Let's go ahead and choose a few to start pulling in. I'll start with a common database, maybe MySQL. We'll give the component a name and then click Create. Now we have to configure our extractor. This will temporarily take us away from the flow, so we should save our work. The first thing I have to do is input the credentials, so I'm going to go ahead and do that now. It looks like I entered them correctly, so we'll click Save and then choose some tables to bring in. In this case, I'm going to select every table under the Sales Demo schema and click Create. We'll talk about what's happening behind the scenes here in a minute. Now that we've specified all of the tables that we want to bring in, I can click Run, which will actually begin the process. While that job runs, if you look further down on the right, you'll notice that everything we've done so far has been version controlled automatically. From initially entering the credentials to specifying each table, every change was tracked, meaning that you can be confident in your production pipelines. Furthermore, Kaboola's code lets you track these changes from your own repository. We'll talk more about that later on. For now, let's go back to our flow and add another data source. This time, let's go with Google Analytics, which we can find by clicking the plus icon and then searching for the component. As usual, the first thing we have to do is give our configuration a name. Then we'll click Create. Just like last time, we'll navigate away from the flow to configure our extractor. The first thing we need to do is authorize the account. This can be done with the click of a button by signing in with Google. This will take us through a simple OAuth flow to provide Keboola secure access. Next, we need to set up our profile and define which properties and views we'd like to see. Then we'll set up a query. To do that, we'll give it a name and then specify an output table to tell the configuration where this data should be stored. In this case, I'll call it Google Analytics Report. We'll choose a few simple metrics, maybe sessions, users, and page views, and dimensions, in this case date and medium. Once that's set up, we'll click Save and Run. Let's set up one more component just for good measure. This time, we'll pull in data from Shopify. We'll search for the component the same way as before and then select it. We'll add our name and then click Configure. After leaving, we'll input the API credentials and choose the loading options. We'll also check which endpoints we want to pull data from. In this case, the defaults look good, so we'll click Save, thereby updating the version, and we'll run this component too. With all of our extractors now set up, let's dig deeper into what happens when we run a job. In the navigation menu, we can go to jobs to see what we've done so far. Let's click into the first job we ran, MySQL. Keboola provides detailed and actionable metadata about each job that is run. Here we can see both the configuration and configuration version that ran, when the job started and when it ended, who ran it, how long it took, and more. If we scroll further down, we'll see a detailed log of every event during the run. So if something were to go wrong, it'd be easy to figure out what happened. Scrolling back up, we can take a look at the output mapping of this job. In other words, what tables were brought into storage as a result. Clicking into one, we can see even more metadata associated with the table, as well as a preview of what the data looks like. Let's explore this table in storage to get even more detail. From here, we can set primary keys, change data types and definitions of each column in the schema, filter or search the data by column to find information quickly, take snapshots, identify usage, and more. Let's talk about storage in more detail. At the highest level, we have buckets, which are just a series of tables related in some way. Here, we have 3 different buckets for the 3 sources that we pulled from. If we click into a bucket, say Shopify, we can see all of the tables that we brought in, giving us an easy way to organize and govern our data. Bringing in the data is by no means the last step. There is still a lot to be done in order to generate value for our organization. Let's navigate to transformations and create some workspaces as a sandbox for our code. I'll choose Python first and give it a name. If needed, we could also change the backend version and workspace size. We'll leave it as it is for now and click Create. While that's spinning up, let's also provision a SQL workspace. I'll call this Customer List. Now, with the click of a few buttons, Keboola is working behind the scenes to spin up the necessary infrastructure for us to do the work that matters. Let's start by hopping into the SQL workspace. The first thing we'll do is specify which tables we'd like to work on. In this case, it will be the customers table from Shopify and from our MySQL database. We'll give them each a unique name. Next, we'll specify an output table. This is because once transformations are put into production, Keboola automatically cleans up unnecessary tables, so we must specify when we want one to persist. Now I'll load the data into our workspace, and then click Connect to get the credentials that Keboola provisioned. In a new tab, a Snowflake workspace will open up, but it's worth noting that these credentials can be used to query the database from other workbenches and IDEs too. After we enter the credentials, we can begin to develop our code. On the left-hand side, we can find the tables that were specified through the input mapping to use in our transformation. After writing our code, we can test it immediately, and if it does what we want it to do, we can go back into Keboola to turn it into a transformation. By clicking the Create New Transformation button, we can move our mappings and our code to a transformation. Once we've done that, it can be added into our flow and orchestrated alongside everything else. Before we do that though, let's quickly go back and check out our Python workspace. Similarly to our SQL workspace, I'll start out by specifying an input and output mapping before connecting. Then I'll load my table to make it accessible to the workspace and click Connect to gather my credentials and open the link. In a new tab, we'll be taken to a Jupyter lab that Keboola has provisioned on our behalf, complete with all of the bells and whistles that you're used to. We can do everything from exploratory data analysis to building up complex ML models right here. Once we're happy with what we've got, we can follow the same process as before to turn our code into a transformation, and if need be, to increase the power of our backend. Okay, now that we've set that up, it's time to go back and make some updates to our flow. First, let's switch around our extractors. None of them are dependent on each other, so they can be run at the same time. Next, we'll add in our transformations. Now that we've created configurations for them from our workspace, we can easily add them into the flow. We'll search for each one by name, and then add in the specific configuration that we created previously. Just like with the extractors, neither of these transformations are dependent on one another, so we can make them run in parallel too. Now it's starting to look like a pipeline. With our data sources and transformations in place, let's start to build out some use cases. First, let's attach a BI tool of our choosing to surface this data for everyone else in our organization. To do that, we'll write our data back out to some warehouse or database that the BI tool can connect to. For this example, we'll choose Snowflake. With the Snowflake writer, we have two options. If we already have our own Snowflake set up somewhere else, we can input the credentials directly. Or we can have Keboola automatically provision us a database that we can then connect into. Let's utilize the latter and have Keboola set it up for us. Now we can save our password somewhere and then start loading in our tables. Now let's go back to the flow. For a second use case, let's send a list of our customers to MailChimp so we can begin to create marketing campaigns and increase sales. To start, let's pretend that there isn't already a MailChimp destination that we can utilize. With that being the case, we'll opt to use the generic writer, which, along with the generic extractor, allows us to connect with virtually any REST API in order to sync our data. Both the extractor and writer have extensive documentation to help us get started. Of course, it will also be necessary to have handy the documentation for the API to which we are trying to connect. With those things pulled up, we can get started. For the sake of time, we won't go into too much detail right now. With the jumping off point that Keboola provides, it's easy to get started. To speed things up, we'll paste in a working configuration. You'll see that I've copied the proper endpoints and authentication credentials, but that's about it. The writer itself will take care of packaging up our payload and everything else like that. Next, we'll have to specify an input table. This table will contain the data that we're trying to send. Before we do that though, we need to do one more transformation to get the data in a format that the API will accept. We'll speed through this part of the process, considering that we've already seen transformations in detail. With that running, let's go back to rearrange our flow before we finish up our MailChimp writer. Okay, everything is looking good. Now all we have to do is add in our input table and then run the configuration. To see what's going on, let's click into the job to watch it run. We can see everything spinning up and the input table getting loaded. If we scroll down to the logs and wait just a second, we can actually see the requests being processed with each payload. To finish up, let's go back to our flow and schedule it, so that we can be confident that our data will flow wherever it may be needed. For this specific flow, once a day makes sense. I'll have it run in the middle of the night so we can start off each morning with fresh data. And there you have it. In just a short while, we have built and orchestrated an entire flow from beginning to end, and this is just the beginning. Keboola is a multi-cloud data ops platform that provides a state-of-the-art microservices layer on top of your systems. It covers the whole data stack. That includes ingestion, data warehousing, transformations in data science, sandboxes and experimentation environments, orchestration, versioning, and more. On top of that, accessing Keboola can be done in a way that best suits the specific user or organization. Individuals can interact with the platform via a comprehensive user interface, or headlessly with our API or command line interface. Our microservices and API-first approach also allows for complete interoperability with modern standards, providing a powerful way to access and manage your data stack.